Yes, tell me a bit about your plenary speech yesterday and about what you're doing about that.
Yeah, so what I was talking about yesterday was the challenges of embedding social innovation or change maker principles into, not just into a teaching programme, but into the whole of a university. So how you go from just teaching modules or minor programmes or having projects about social innovation into how every student in a university can have access to understanding and awareness of social innovation as a movement. And the metaphor I was using yesterday was taken from the lift tower in Northampton town, which is a big concrete structure that was designed and used for testing elevators in hotels. And it's a big 100-metre high concrete pillar. And it's a good metaphor for an organisation that has to change. Because we have lots of grassroots, lots of broad-based activities about social enterprise and social innovation, and lots of very visionary people at the top of institutions who are setting clear structures and strategies for being more socially entrepreneurial, etc. But the bit in the middle is the hardest bit of the structure. It's a big concrete mass that is pretty boring and is quite difficult to shift. And that's where we are at the University of Northampton, is how we try to begin to move that central block so that we can connect the strategy to the grassroots activity. And that involves almost changing some of the rules, or changing the way in which we do things at universities around validations, about designing degree programmes, about what we include in the thinking when we're developing a new degree programme or revalidating a degree programme, including external examiners and stuff like that. So that's the bit in the middle that controls most universities. And that's the challenge I think we have, is when that begins to change, then all students have that opportunity to experience something about social innovation in every degree programme, from accounting to nursing to arts and creativity. So that's my challenge.
Great, thank you. Now, next question is about your experience here at the conference.
Yeah.
Pick something that you'd like to speak about, something that fascinated you, something that you find insightful.
Yeah. So what's really intrigued me by the conference, and there's been students working alongside the academics and faculty, and at one level we're talking about the systems, the sort of things I was mentioning with respect to the big concrete block in the middle. But it's also important for us to make sure that we're building in how the students themselves begin the journey for social entrepreneurship. So most of the students I've spoken to didn't know anything about social enterprise or social entrepreneurship and all those academic terms, but they had a sense of social justice, a sense of social injustice, but they didn't know how to do anything about it. And then they've gone and worked with an organisation or in a particular location and seen how people are solving problems, and then come back and are talking very, very literately about, in a very literate way, you can edit that bit, they're talking in a very literate way about social enterprise and social impact and all these academic things. So it's the challenge, I think, is starting the student on the journey. Once they're on the journey, the teaching is really easy, but how do we help them to transition from what I call seeing a social problem and then knowing what to do about it? And that at Northampton is what we call change making, is being able to see a problem and know not what the answer is, but know how to go about solving the problem. And that's very, very early stage, long before we worry about starting a social enterprise. It's just saying, here's a thing, and we've got to think about a different way of doing it. So that's the kind of the thing that I'm taking away from this.
Right. Thank you. Can you talk a bit about your expectations before coming here, and to which extent they've been fulfilled or over-fulfilled?
My expectations coming here was I was involved in helping the team more as a kind of a friend rather than being directly involved in delivering stuff. So I was pretty aware of what was going on beforehand and where the projects come from. And it's just been fascinating to see the breadth of academics across the world that are now involved in this, and the extent to which now we're seeing students being involved in that design work and thinking. So it's exceeding my expectations. I've got another social innovation conference to go to again in York, so I'm going to be taking those stories into that context as well.